Welcome to Runner Enterprise Data Quality's Clean Address installation video for PeopleSoft. This video should be used in conjunction with Runner EDQ Address Installation Guide and the Runner EDQ Address PeopleSoft Integration Guide. You should have received in the onboarding package USPS and DPV links to download the installation files for Clean Address. Download the files to your computer to make them available in order to begin the installation. The initial steps to install Clean Address for PeopleSoft will be delivered to you with your onboarding package. The onboarding package will include the installation steps for the following 3 components. 1. Clean Address Server. 2. Database Component. 3. PeopleSoft Interface. Navigate to the directory where you downloaded the installation files. Download the USPS and DPV files to a temporary directory in your server. We will now reference the Runner EDQ Clean Address Installation Guide to begin with the Clean Address Database installation steps. This section applies to the installation on an Oracle database platform, which consists of 4 steps. 1. Create table spaces in the Oracle database. 2. Create the Clean Address database user. Test your Clean Address database user. Connect as the Clean Address user using SQL+. Upon successful connection, move on to Step 3. Import the Clean Address export dump file. Run the import command to import the dump file. Run the import command as the CLN ADDR database user. When prompted, input the dump file name and then follow the rest of the prompts as documented in Step 3 in the Runner EDQ Clean Address Installation Guide. You can hit Enter to accept the default values. When prompted to import the entire export file, say Yes to override the default value. At this point, we are importing the database objects into CLN Addr. The clean address schema objects, tables, views, and packages are created. Congratulations! You have successfully imported the database objects into the CLN Addr schema in your Oracle database. Now for the final step in the database component, create the public synonyms. At this point, we are ready to refer back to the Runner EDQ Clean Address Installation Guide to complete Step 4. 4. Create the public synonyms for the CLN Addr user. We log in as the CLN Addr user via SQL Plus to run the script to create the public synonyms. Run the script to create the public synonyms. Congratulations! You have completed the installation steps for the database component. We will now move on to the Clean Address Server component. In order to install the Clean Address Server component, you will need to reference the Runner EDQ Clean Address Installation Guide. We will now begin the server component steps. Locate the files to install. The first step in installing the Clean Address Server component is to choose the location to create the Clean Address home and directory structure. Next, edit the clnaddrd.ini configuration file to modify settings for your environment. There are 3 parameters that need to match your environment. 1. Postal data path. 2. Oracle database seed. 3. Log file name. Please note that all of the other parameters can be left with the default value. We now have completed the Clean Address Server installation. We are now ready to test Clean Address. Refer to the Testing the Clean Address Installation section in the Clean Address Installation Guide. Open a command line session and navigate to the bin directory under Clean Address Home to run the Clean Address executable. Clean Address is up and running from the command window. It waits for address requests to be processed. Open a separate command line session to invoke SQL Plus and connect to the database. We invoke SQL Plus to connect to the database. Connect as the CLN Addr database user using the same Oracle credentials specified in the INI file. Execute the SQL statements to run the test verify procedure, which will include setting the server output and running the test verify procedure. The test verify procedure returns the results with the test address and the output verified address. As seen here, Clean Address returns the verified standardized postal address. We can see Clean Address processing the address request from the command line. We are now going to set Clean Address as a Windows service. This is recommended for your production environment. We will need to run the install winservice.bat script to set up the Windows service. Navigate to the bin directory under Clean Address Home to locate the install winservice.bat script. Edit the script before running to set the path to Clean Address Home, Windows Service name, and path to INI file. By default, the script will create 3 services per database instance. You may modify the script to create as many services as desired. Open the command prompt and navigate to the bin directory to run the script. The script creates the Windows services successfully. Check the clnaddrd.log file. By default, this file is created in the log directory under the Clean Address Home. Look at the latest entries in the .log file to view initialization messages and check for errors. The log file displays useful information such as the server build and address object version, OS platform version, expiration date, and Oracle connectivity. Back at the SQL Plus prompt, log in as the clnaddr database user to run the test verify procedure again. This time, Clean Address is running as a Windows service. The test verify procedure should return the verified address. At this point, we have completed the installation for the Clean Address server and database component. We will continue with the steps to install the PeopleSoft interface. Refer to the Clean Address PeopleSoft integration guide included with the onboarding package. Step 1 grants access from the CLN Addr schema to the PeopleSoft schema. Open the command prompt to start a SQL Plus session. Connect as the CLN Addr database user. Run the 3 grant statements as documented in Step 1 in the Clean Address PeopleSoft integration guide. For each statement, you may copy the grant statement, paste it at the SQL prompt, and hit Enter to run. Exit SQL Plus to end the session. We proceed with Step 2 to create the CLN Address PeopleSoft shadow table. We will need to connect as sysadmin to run the SQL script that creates the shadow table. The PeopleSoft interface files are included under the PeopleSoft interface directory. Open the command prompt and navigate to the PKG subdirectory under the PeopleSoft interface to locate the SQL script. Invoke SQL Plus to connect to PeopleSoft. Connect as the sysadmin user to create the shadow table. Once connected to the database, run the crt cln address PeopleSoft.SQL script that creates the CLN address PeopleSoft table. Next step is to load the integration packages with the implementation procedures to support the verify call. The SQL scripts for loading the interface packages are in the pkg directory included with the PeopleSoft interface. Run the load pkg.sql script to load the clean address PeopleSoft package. This package contains the batch update procedures and the real-time APIs. Run the load pkg ajax.sql script to load the clean address PeopleSoft Ajax package for supporting real-time address verification. Lastly, run load pkg user exit.sql to load the clean address PeopleSoft UE package. The user exit package is used to extend or enhance the data quality procedures in clean address PeopleSoft. Packages are loaded and compiled valid. We are now ready to create public synonyms. Run the SQL statements that create the public synonyms for clean address PeopleSoft and clean address PeopleSoft Ajax. You may copy and paste the SQL statements from the documentation. We now have all the database objects loaded in sysadmin. At this point, we can test address verification at the database level before moving on to the real-time implementation. Find the testcln PeopleSoft.sql script in the scripts directory with the PeopleSoft interface files. From the command prompt, navigate to the scripts directory to locate the test script. Connect as sysadmin via SQL Plus to run the testcln PeopleSoft script. The output from the script returns the formatted address and parsed components. Congratulations! Address verification is running in PeopleSoft. We now move on to adding the real-time integration. We will need to open Application Designer to load the clean address project file. Using PeopleSoft Application Designer, select Tools, Copy Project from File. Navigate to the Project Files subdirectory under PeopleSoft Interface to view all versions supported. Select the appropriate subdirectory based on the PeopleSoft version that we are integrating. The Clean Address project file is application version specific, not PeopleTool specific. For this video, we are running on PeopleSoft CS 9.2 and PeopleTools 8.55, so we select the subdirectory that best matches our training environment. Follow the wizard in Application Designer to apply the project. The Clean Address project file consists of the HTML objects, address page templates, and iScript. You can expand each subfolder to view the objects that add the address verification hooks. The Clean Address project file is loaded. Next step is to add the weblib CLN Addr web library to an existing permission list that all users have access to. Navigate to the Permissions List menu in the PeopleSoft application. Choose a permission list to add the web library. Add the weblib CLN Addr web library to the permission list. Before saving, edit the weblib permissions and choose Full Access from the drop-down list. This will allow to save the weblib CLN Addr web library to the permission list. Back in App Designer, we can expand the folders in the Clean Address project file to view all the objects associated with the project file. Right-click on the USA Address Template subpage and click on View People Code to view the Clean Address integration code. Here, you can modify the if statements to change functionality based on component criteria. We are ready to test address verification in real time. Let's log in to PeopleSoft. Please note, Clean Address is supported in Fluid and Classic pages depending on what version of PeopleSoft you are using. Navigate to the Address page. Click to add a new address. The address page is rendered. Notice the clear link at the bottom of the page. This is an indication that the Clean Address modifications have been applied. By default, Clean Address for PeopleSoft displays address suggest lists in a non-interactive static mode. However, if you would like to have a clickable selective suggestion list, that option is available. The following steps will highlight the steps to enable either functionality. This next step adds the clickable suggestion list functionality. This involves adding the web server components and pointing to the SLST objects at the page level. This step involves adding the CLN Addr folder to the web server path. Determine the web server path for your PeopleSoft application. Navigate to the web server components subdirectory included with the PeopleSoft interface. Copy the CLN Addr folder to the document root. The CLN Addr folder contains the iframe and image files to support the click-through functionality. Let's switch to Application Designer to configure the settings to enable the click-through. Expand the Pages folder and View People code for the template page that you wish to change. In our example, this is the SCC address SCF fluid template. To specify which HTML object to populate for each component, modify the if statement criteria to point to the desired HTML object functionality. Change to the clean address fluid SLST object to add click-through support. The HTML objects suffixed with SLST support the click-through suggestion list. We are ready to test the click-through functionality. The click-through allows the user to click to select from the suggestion list, resending the address for verification. The address verifies successfully. Clean address returns the missing parsed components and standardized address. We will now illustrate the use of the Override Address Verification checkbox, which, if checked, will completely bypass address verification for the address record. This is useful for addresses not maintained by the USPS, which otherwise will be coded as an invalid address. At the user's discretion, the address is saved as specified by the user. We are now going to test address verification in real time using the static suggestion list. Navigate to an address page to enter an address. To trigger verification, the user must provide at least one address line and the city-state combination, or the address line and postal code. Tab out of the address fields to trigger verification. Address is verified in real time. This example illustrates the suggestion list in static mode. The example test address used did not include suite information. After the initial verification, Clean Address returns the missing address components and alerts the user of suite information missing with a list of possible valid ranges. Let's try saving the address. In this example, we have the force valid functionality enabled for this component, which prevents the user from saving an invalid address. Clean Address alerts the user to correct the address in order to be able to save. This is an optional functionality configurable in the project file. The user adds suite information and tabs out of the address field to resend the address for verification. Clean Address returns the complete, standardized, verified, and formatted address. With a verified and complete address, the user can now save the address record as they normally would. Using Clean Address ensures that your database is verified and deliverable based on USPS or International Postal Data Guidelines. Congratulations! You have successfully installed Clean Address for PeopleSoft.